Come the head of the corner. This is the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in our eyes. So just to look, beginning with that first part, this is the stone which the builders rejected. So this would be where a piece of stone was judged unworthy by the experts, but then later had become the most prominent stone in the structure. Because in ancient times, the cornerstone was the stone at the corner of two walls, and it united them. It was a visible corner of the foundation of the building, and the starting point for all the other future building to happen. It was usually the most costly stone because of its beauty and strength. It was also the largest and most solid and carefully constructed one. So the cornerstone was a place where the building was joined, and also the place where it rested. And of course, in the gospel this morning, we hear that the landowner is coming back to the tenants to receive the crop for his property that's due, and the crop and the fruit that's due to him, and they reject him. And then he sends servants, and they reject them. And then finally he sends his own son, and they say, well, let's kill him, and then we'll be able to get the whole thing. And so we see that this stone which the builders reject is Christ. In fact, in the early church, this stone was also called the rock. We hear it even in Isaiah where God says, look, I'm laying in Zion a tested stone, a costly cornerstone, a firm foundation, and whoever trusts in him will not rush here and there. Whoever trusts in him will not be so afraid. And so we realize that this stone is Christ within us. And that this stone that has been rejected is often the stone in us that has also been rejected. Meaning that what has happened to Christ on many levels will also happen to us. And in fact, just as Christ was crushed and he was rejected, so often we too will be crushed and also feel rejected. The good news is that we will rise again, just as we heard in Matthew's gospel this morning, and in the verse it says, if we keep silent about the resurrection, the stone shall proclaim it, even that stone which is rolled away from the door of the tomb. Albeit great is thy mercy, and great is the mercy of thy dispensation, O Savior, glory to thee. But getting to this place for us spiritually is not easy, because this is a stone that as we begin to get to know it within ourselves, and it is God within ourselves, it actually crushes us. Because we reject the stone. It's not human nature to want Christ on some level. It's not in us. Because often it causes us to face reality as it is, to accept reality, our own reality as it is. And that is not easy for us. We often like to build our own houses of stone and illusions and all kinds of dreams that maybe are not real. And so to accept this Christ, this stone, it crushes us. It becomes a rock that we realize it has to crush us. And it's part of it. It's okay. We don't have to be afraid. You don't have to be afraid when you lose your faith. You're supposed to. You're supposed to lose your faith. Because then it gets real. Because the faith you have is just the faith often that someone else has given you, or the faith that you've created in your own mind, your own illusions. So the faith that you think you have is really not faith in the true God. It's just faith in what someone else is giving you, or some illusion that you've made yourself. And so, to have this faith of Christ, which is Christ's faith in us, that's what changes us. That's what molds us and shapes us. And that's what helps us to get through this life. You know, the story I heard recently of Cinderella, a beautiful story. You know, she was rejected by her new stepmother. Her father loved her, but the stepmother was so mean to her and made her do all those bad things. But we don't hear that after all the work that she did and how she slaved, she would have to go and sit by the fire to stay warm. She would sit by the cinders or the coals. And you know, the coals and the cinders, they would get on her dress. You know, it was ash. So it was all ashen and gray. And so they nicknamed her, made a joke of it. They called her Cinderella. And so for us, we see as we live this life, we too have to go to our own ashes. We have to go to our own cinders. We have to make our own descent if we're ever going to roll the stone away, so to speak, and rise from the dead. We have to face our own ashes, our own death. And it's not easy for us, and that's why we have Christ on the cross, and we'll be celebrating the cross here soon, in the exaltation of the cross. And it's not easy for us to accept this. It takes a whole human being. It takes us willing to want to receive this. And so, may we do it, as we hear in the Psalms also, that those who look on him are radiant, and their faces shall never be ashamed. And then in Hebrews we look unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, accepting the shame, and is now sit down at the right hand of the throne of God. So may God help us to trust in him. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.